So all of these questions come from chapter 6, and I really hope you guys start speeding these up. If you are mathematicians and you see the structure of things, this is going to go a lot quicker. I have to pay a $7 entrance fee. That must be the y-intercept. That's where it starts. I have to pay $1.25 for every. That must be the slope or the rates. And so the equation is $7 to start with plus $1.25 for every minutes, and m is my minutes. So it's $7 plus $1.25 for every minute is equal to the total, $43.25. Then you solve that for x. So I subtract 7 from both sides. That leaves me with $36.25 to spend on jumping on the trampoline. And the last step is to divide by 125. There are other strategies that will get you to the same place. And I am really glad that I see a lot of people who are not giving up. But if you're going to have any shot of finishing a test like this in time, you need to be so practiced with it that you already know what the structure is going to be going into it. Alright, next one, the structure is exactly the same. The taxi fare was $2.10 per. The per tells me that's the slope. The tip was $5. You only pay that once. That's the intercept. So this is m, and this is b. And so in the equation, y equals mx plus b. I've got $2.10 per mile plus $5 to start with, and that's equal to the total, $49.10. And then I solve that for m, the variable. Subtract 5 from both sides. I got $44.10 left to pay for mileage. After, these are supposed to be m's. After I divide by 210, I get 22 miles. Okay, so the answer to the question, what is the equation, is $49.10 equals $2.10 times the miles plus a $5 tip, and the answer is 22 miles is how far they drove. In this case, I've got two equations. Wolfram lived in Portugal and Brazil for 14 months, so P is Portugal, or months in Portugal. B is months in Brazil. And the equation in Portugal and Brazil was a total of 14, means Portugal plus Brazil equals 14. The other equation, 130 words per month in Portugal, is 130 per month in Portugal. And an average of 150 words per month in Brazil, so that's 150 in Brazil, equals a total of 1,920 words. The place that I would start off guessing two numbers that add up to 14, it makes sense to guess 7 and 7. So for Portugal and Brazil, I'm going to try 7 and 7. The words that he learned in Portugal was 130 times Portugal, because it was 130 every one of those months. And in Brazil, it was 150 times Brazil. So if I guess 7 and 7, then I have 130 times 7 words in Portugal, which is 910, and this many in Brazil. So that is 910 that I learned in Portugal, and 1,050 that I learned in Brazil, and that's a total number of words, 1,960. I want 1,920, so I must be close. So let's try 8 and 6. 8 plus 6, P plus B adds up to 14. Now let's check that the words in Portugal plus the words they learned in Brazil add up to 1,920. So 130 times Portugal, if Portugal is 8, is 1,040, and 150 times Brazil, if Brazil is 6, gives me 1,040 for this one and 900 for this one. And those add up to 1,940. I can see by the pattern that I need to go one more, 9 and 5. So you can double check that for yourself. The correct answer is 9 months in Portugal and 5 months in Brazil. The next one is polio vaccination. So the two equations are, the variables are rather, P for polio, M for measles. And the first equation is that there are a total of 60 vaccinations. So that's P plus polio plus measles equals 60. And then I need to do the doses. 4 doses for polio plus 2 doses for measles is equal to a total of 184 doses. And so those are the two equations, the first two answers. And now I'm going to start guessing polio and measles until I have found two numbers that add up to 60, and then 4 times polio plus 2 times measles is equal to 184. So I'm going to put polio here and measles vaccinations here. 4 times every polio and 2 times every measles. If we cut this in half, it would be 30 and 30. So that adds up to 60. 4 times polio would be 120, and 2 times measles would be 60. So that's 180. We're already on the right track. Move by 1, it would be, let's see, 30. I want more. I want it to be bigger, and so I'm going to make polio bigger because there's more doses for that, 31 and 29. So that's 122 here, and 2 doses of measles is 58, and those add up to, sorry, 4 times 31 should have been 124, and these add up to 182. So that makes sense. Every time I increase this by 1, I get 2 extra doses, 2 going this way, because the difference between these two is 2. So I need to go 1 more. 32 doses of polio and 28 of measles gives me 128 doses of polio and 56 for measles, which is a total of 184. So there's my answer right there. The solution is there are 32 doses of polio and the 32 vaccinations of polio and 28 vaccinations of measles. This is a simple system. So it's simple in the sense that something already cancels. Those cancel. I get negative 8x equals 80. I solve that for x is negative 10. And then plug that back in there. Negative 3 times negative 10 plus 2y is 56. That means 30. Plus 2y is 56. And then I use the subtraction property of equality and the division property of equality. So the solution to the first one was negative 10 for x and 13 for y. The next one is not simple in the sense that there is nothing that cancels right off the top. I just moved that over because I know that I'm going to need room to put a number out here. 3 times 4 is going to give me 12, so I'm going to put a 3 out here. But then these have to be opposite as well, so I'm going to make it negative. And rewrite my equation. 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 4 is 12. And then the equal sign, 3 times 7 is 21. The other equation stays the same. And combine. These are opposite, so only 20 of them are left. All of those cancel. 39 and 21 make 60. And using the division property of equality, I can divide both sides by negative 20. I get negative 3. And then I plug that back in. 9x minus 4y is negative 7. But I know x is negative 3. So that means negative 27 minus 4y is negative 7. I add 27 to both sides. I get negative 4 times y equals positive 20, and use the division property of equality to get negative 5. So not that easy of a problem, I agree. Next one is even harder because I can't multiply either of these to make the other one. So let's use the greatest common factor, or greatest common multiple of 12. I'm going to multiply this guy by 2. 2 times 6 gives me 12. We multiply this one times 3. 3 times 4 gives me 12. One of them has to be negative. Might as well be that one. Had to be negative because I needed to change the sign. So 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 11 is 22. Here comes the wall. 2 times 36 is 72. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 7 is 21. And 3 times 24 is also 72. Looks that way. Alright, so these are my opposites over here. And 22 minus 21 is just 1. So x is already by itself. Life is good. It's equal to 0. So 1x equals 0, or just x equals 0. I'm going to plug that back into the original equation. Negative 6y plus 11x equals negative 36. But I can replace the x with 0. Which means that that just drops away. And using the division property of equality, I get y is equal to positive 6. All right, and that was our review of Chapter 6.